Hey, Darren, this is Matt Greiner calling.
Hey, right on time there. Good day so far, aside from the world falling apart.
Yeah, I like the way you put that. That's good.
Well, where are you quarantined at the moment?
I'm in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, and as soon as I'm done with this interview, I'm going over to my farm to do some work because farming doesn't really stop. So I don't feel as stuck as everybody else does, I think.
We are stuck inside here. New York is getting a different bit of treatment than over there. But are you going from interview to interview? Are you finding that more people want to talk to you than ever right now?
It's more. It's more. Yeah, I would say it's more. Are you calling from New York?
Calling in New York, yes, Long Island, New York.
Okay. Okay. How are you guys doing up there?
We're stuck inside, but at least it looks nice outside, you know?
Well, thanks so much for doing this today. I appreciate it. I haven't really been outside. I haven't done any interviews today. I've been teaching drum lessons all day, but yeah, it's looks nice out.
Well, on the bright side of all this, Guardians is still coming out in early April, and your record company's still in business, which a lot of companies are going out of business per se. But Fearless is just one of those record companies that keeps growing and growing, and it's not the beginning of your relationship with them. So, looking at what's going on with Guardians right now, how much do you know about your immediate future?
It's a good question. Well, there's some things up in the air. I mean, this record effectively terminates or fulfills our contract with Fearless. However we decide to proceed is going to be determined in the next, I would say, 6 to 9 months. We are a very active band. This is a very inactive time. So there's a lot of things that we'll have to go back and forth on to figure out where we end up. I know that we would like to do a Christmas song this year. We did not do one last year. And 2 years without a Christmas song is a long time. So if we do that would be through Fearless. But beyond that, it's hard to say. You know, it's really hard to say. I can't believe we've been with Fearless as long as we have. Feels like we just signed with them. They have been an awesome label to work with.
And you just mentioned Christmas, and one of the trademark things about your band is the Christmas Burns Red Festival, which I think 15 years of is going on. Is that the case?
Yeah, yeah, 15 years of Christmas music. Go figure. Our most popular song is a Christmas song. That would be Carol the Bells. That's our most popular song, and it's a Christmas song, which I guess makes sense.
Right. And it's funny to me that your music isn't the most commercial music at first glance. A lot of people use the term metalcore. Do you like the term metalcore?
Yeah, metalcore. Yeah,
but
I think so.
In spite of that metalcore label, having multiple albums that charted in the top 20 on the Billboard Top 200 is not only an accomplishment, but it's kind of a statement that you guys did things your own way and found commercial success. When was it that you first started to find commercial success beyond just having a diehard fan base?
That is also a good question. I would say it was a slow enough transition that it was like a frog in the kettle, where we didn't wake up one day and go, oh my gosh, look what's happened. We had a very slow and steady rise, and I think we have that to thank for our career lasting as long as it has. We're about to go on 18 years as a band. 18 years as a metalcore band. So I think we built a really solid foundation. We played a lot of local shows and then regional shows, booked a lot of our own shows, practiced a lot, played whatever shows we could, and eventually got signed to a small label, built some grassroots here, got signed to Solid State in 2005, recorded Thrill Seeker. And I think at that point, all of us are like, wait a second, this could actually be something. And I think for me, the telling sign was the amount of money that was allocated for our recording, which at that time was like 25 grand or something, you know? And for us, it was like, whoa, someone believes in us that much that they're going to put in 25 grand. Well, of course, that's not a huge amount of money in comparison to what was being spent on records back then in 2005. And so I think just knowing that someone believed in us that much made us want to work that much harder to be successful so that we could pay the label back for what they were investing in us. And subsequently, we just toured our butts off. We were on the road for like 9 months out of the year. And I think because of that, it was hard to see that we had gotten successful rather quickly, but it didn't really feel that way because we were just always on the road and always playing shows and always doing support tours. And then I guess it would have been 2000, maybe 10, 11, 12 that we really started to come into our own and be like, whoa, we might be able to do this a while longer.
So you just mentioned 18 years of the band, and that means that you joined the band as a teenager. So obviously somewhere along the way it became a career, but did you have a period where you were, say, working retail between all the touring? You know, you come off the road and you go, well, we got 2-3 months. Now I got to go back to the Gap.
So I started the band. And when we first started as a band, all of us had like full-time jobs in addition to like college. And so we didn't really anticipate the band being our full-time job. It got to a point where we had to quit our jobs to continue on with the band because the band was just getting so busy. You know what I mean? It was just, it got so busy that we actually couldn't continue being in a landscaping business or working for the local grocery store, or like you said, the Gap. We just couldn't actually handle 2 jobs. It was not the case that we quit our jobs to make August Burns Red a career. We actually were sort of forced to do that in order to continue as a band because things were so busy.
Well, did anyone in the band have a really strange job for a metalcore musician? Something like working at the Gap? Something where they were super straight-laced?
Yeah. I mean, people consider me working landscaping and being a farmer sort of different. I know JB worked for a local grocery store, which if you know JB suits him really well. He's a guitarist and he's the funniest member of the band. I think all of us look like we worked at the Gap, and so that was probably as strange as if we were to have actually worked at the Gap. JB and Brent would wear flip-flops, and we'd wear button-down shirts and polos, and yeah, we weren't your typical band, that's for sure.
Well, I had the pleasure of interviewing Jake about 2 years ago, and he was getting into how he eats well and takes care of himself, was taking vocal lessons, working on that kind of stuff, and plays a lot of hockey. You guys are more normal than I'd say your average metalcore band, and that's intended to be a compliment. Has it always been that case, or did you at the beginning have to tone yourselves down a little bit?
I think it was always that way. I don't think that we were always complimented on, like, it's impressive that you do this, and this, and it would often throw us off our guard a little bit. Like, well, we don't even really think about the fact that we act like that or dress like that. It's just what we do. In the same way that we write our music based on what we think is really good and has a high standard, and then hopefully people like it. I don't know that there was ever a lot of toning down. Maybe with Jake there was a little bit of toning down because when he's our third vocalist. He joined in 2006. When he joined the band, I don't think he knew who he was. I mean, he would show up to practice the first day wearing, like, he looked like a rapper, and the next month he looked like he was just blue collar, and then the next month he looked like he was in a hardcore band. So I think we had to filter, I think, the different colors of the rainbow that he was exploring that month until he figured out, okay, this is who I am. And really, I don't fault him at all. He was coming into an intimidating situation where we were signed, and he's now the front man of the band, having to live up to expectations and all that sort of thing.
So he got over the lead singer's disease, which is a great thing. And you, I believe, have a drum company still. Is that the case?
I actually shut the drum company down, but we built a good product, and I figured out over the course of, 7 years, there are too many drum companies for us to compete unless it was my full-time job. And of course, I'm not going to quit my band to pursue my drum company. At least not at that point. I wasn't willing to do that, So it was a fun venture. We made a lot of really cool drums that I still hear about today. People will send me pictures, and some of them are like turning up on reverb.com. I guess, times are tough. So you're starting to liquidate whatever you have that might be worth a little bit of money. And I'm half tempted to like buy back some of the drums.
Well, the farming that you mentioned before, what is it that you're farming at the moment?
So I bought into my dad's farm. My two brothers and I own about 140 acres total here in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. We're neighbors with the Amish, the Mennonites, very conservative, distinct culture. I have actually a pretty conservative ancestry, which makes total sense, right? That I started a metal band in the barn.
Of course. You got to raise it somehow.
Yeah, I was the black sheep. I still am probably, but I came back home. The prodigal son has come back home, and I ended up buying half the farm. And so we have corn and soybeans. It's for livestock consumption, not for the grocery store. It's a challenge. There's a lot of science. I didn't understand how much there was to farming until I actually owned my own property, and I wasn't just driving tractors. I was doing soil samples and measuring the NPK of the soil and sending it off to Penn State. And there's just so much to farming that I love. The summation of all that is that it's just cathartic. It's a very fun and relaxing job for me, especially considering it is the antonym to what I do for a career. And I think that's why I love it so much.
Pardon this ignorant question. Are you able to use earbuds or at least listen to music while you're farming?
That's a good question. I can, but I often don't mind getting away from music. And I do podcasts though. I don't know if you podcast or people listening or reading this podcast, but that for me is very relaxing. I really enjoy listening to good conversation, and I'll do that. But I don't really listen to music or anything. Our tractors are all like from the 70s, so we don't have cabs on them. Everything's pretty loud, so you have to wear ear protection anyway. And I got these headphones that are like over-the-ear headphones that also hook up to your phone. So there's a little bit of that, but not a whole lot of like, kill switch engage going on while I'm farming.
Well, bring it all full circle here. Guardians is the new album. Hope to see you live in New York in the near future when things get back to normal. But in closing, any last words for the kids?
Thank you so much for supporting us. We really do not take our fans for granted. This time is a reminder that effectively no one is, we're all in this together, we are all in this together, and we really need you and appreciate you as our fans. We're honored to be the ones able to make music and be on stage playing, and we will be back soon.
Paltrocast.